Most men are terrified of the silence because they cannot stand the person they meet there. They drown their potential in the noise of the crowd, seeking validation from a world that doesn't care if they exist. But Miyamoto Musashi understood a truth you have forgotten. Isolation is not a prison. It is a forge. Your obsession with being liked is the very leash used to lead you to mediocrity. True discipline is not found in a routine. It is found in the cold resolve to be a lone wolf in a world of sheep. While they chase the next hit of validation, the world is being inherited by the few who can stand the silence. The duel has already begun, and you are unarmed. It is time to stop looking for your tribe and start looking for your blade. Welcome to the path of the void, the social cage. You have been conditioned to believe that connection is a human necessity, a virtue that defines your worth. But in the architecture of power, connection is often nothing more than a mutual agreement to remain average. Most of your social interactions are performance art, a desperate attempt to feed an ego that is terrified of being alone. You seek the warmth of the crowd because you lack the internal heat to survive the cold. Miyamoto Musashi did not seek the approval of his peers. He sought the perfection of his soul through the total elimination of the unnecessary. To walk the path of the lone wolf is to recognize that every person you rely on for validation is a structural weakness in your mental fortress. When you are alone, the mask falls away. There is no audience to impress. There is no consensus to hide behind. There is only the brutal, honest reality of your own inadequacy. This is where the work begins. The modern world has weaponized your biological need for belonging, turning it into a digital leash that keeps you tethered to the mediocre. Greatness is found in the vacuum created when you cut those cords. Isolation is not a punishment. It is a strategic sanctuary. It is the only place where you can develop a self-referential mind, one that does not look left or right for permission to exist. Musashi spent years in the wilderness, not because he hated humanity, but because he understood that to master the world, he first had to master the absolute silence within himself. You cannot build a life of excellence on a foundation of social approval. The foundation must be cold, hard stone, and stone is only found in the solitude of the forge. If you are terrified of the quiet, it is because you do not like the person you are when the noise stops. The lone wolf does not howl for attention. He moves in silence because he is his own destination. Every hour you spend in deep solitary labor is an investment in a version of yourself that the world cannot touch, cannot influence, and cannot break. Stop looking for your tribe and start looking for your blade. The crowd will always try to pull you back into the warmth of the collective. Your job is to stay in the cold until you become the storm. The art of the void? To master the void is to master the space between thoughts. In the heat of the duel, or the absolute silence of your work, your own mind is the primary enemy. It is the noise that prevents the strike. Miyamoto Musashi taught that when you truly enter the void, there is no self, no sword, and no opponent. There is only the action. This is the ultimate discipline, the ability to operate with total precision without the interference of your own ego. Most of your failures in life are not due to a lack of skill, but due to a surplus of yourself. You think about the outcome. You think about the reward. You think about what the crowd will say when you fail or succeed. This is the friction that slows your blade. This is the static that blurs your vision. The void is not an empty hole. It is a clear lens. It is the state where your preparation and your nature become one. When the system tries to distract you with its digital sirens and algorithmic hooks, the warrior who has mastered the void remains invisible to them. Why? Because there is no hook left in him to catch. There is no vanity for the algorithm to exploit. There is no fear for the narrative to trigger. You become a shadow in the matrix. moving with a purpose that the world cannot comprehend. This level of focus is not attained by adding more to your life, but by stripping everything away until only the essential remains. It is a process of brutal, honest subtraction. Ask yourself, what in your life is noise? What are you holding on to that blunts your edge? The path of the lone wolf requires you to leave the baggage of the collective at the gate. Every distraction you tolerate is a debt you owe to your own potential. To enter the void is to pay that debt in full. It is to accept the discomfort of nothingness until you become the master of your own environment. This is not a philosophy to be discussed in comfortable rooms. It is a discipline to be lived in the dark. You do not find the void, you become it. And in that becoming, you become invincible. Not because you cannot be hit, but because you are no longer there to be struck. The void is your fortress, silence is your weapon, and focus is your final strike, the dual nature of the blade. Musashi carried two swords, but he fought with one mind. This is the duality you must master if you intend to survive the coming decades. Most men are divided. They try to balance their desire for comfort with their ambition for greatness, only to find that these two forces cancel each other out. They are perpetually at war with themselves, leaking energy through the cracks of their indecision. To walk the path of the lone wolf is to unify your intent. It is to recognize that your primary weapon is not your skill, but your singleness of purpose. Every distraction, every social obligation, and every fleeting desire is a second sword you are carrying that you do not know how to use. It only adds weight. It only slows your reaction. The strategy of the warrior is not about adding techniques. It is about stripping away the hesitation. In the void of the duel, there is no time for trying. There is only the execution. You must learn to treat your daily discipline with the same terminal gravity as a life or death encounter. If you treat your work as a choice, you have already lost. For the lone wolf, focus is not a tool you pick up when you feel motivated. It is the atmosphere you breathe. This unity of mind and action is what the system fears most. A man who cannot be distracted is a man who cannot be bought, frightened, or redirected. You must become a monolith of intent in a world of flickering lights. This is not a state you achieve once and keep. It is a state you must defend every single second you are awake. The moment you look for approval, your blade blunts. The moment you look for comfort, your armor cracks. You are the architect of your own isolation, and within that isolation, you are building a weapon that the world is not prepared to face. The final duel. The duel you are fighting is not against the world, the algorithm, or the people who doubt you. The only opponent you will ever truly face is the version of yourself that begs for comfort. Miyamoto Musashi won 61 duels because he had already killed his own weakness before he ever stepped onto the battlefield. He understood that the blade is merely an extension of an unshakable intent. As you leave the silence of this session, the noise will return. The crowd will call for your attention. The digital sirens will sing their praise, and the path of least resistance will look more inviting than ever. This is the moment of the strike. You must decide right now if you are a passenger or a master. There is no middle ground in the void. You either own your focus, or you are owned by those who harvest it. The architecture of your excellence is built in the seconds when you want to quit, but you remain. It is built in the hours of solitary labor that no one will ever see or applaud. Discipline is the only true freedom in a world of beautiful distractions. It is the bridge between the man you are and the legend you are capable of becoming. Your ancestors are watching. The system is counting on your failure, but you have the blade of focus in your hand. Do not put it down. Master the system before the system masters you. If you have the courage to walk this path alone, prove it. Leave a comment saying, "I am the storm," to signal your transcendence. The void is waiting. Your work is waiting. The duel begins now.